Hey, Steelers Nation. We're back with an exclusive video packed with the latest updates on our beloved Pittsburgh Steelers. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. This way, you'll never miss any exclusive updates or exciting Steelers news. The world of the NFL is buzzing with a seismic shakeup that nobody saw coming, and it all centers around one of the most formidable defensive linemen in recent memory, Cam Heyward of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Today, Heyward reportedly announced something that has left fans, analysts, and even fellow players in absolute disbelief. A statement that has the potential to rewrite defensive strategies for the Steelers moving forward. According to insiders, Heyward declared that he will no longer be sharing defensive duties with Patrick Queen, a young and highly touted linebacker who is expected to become a cornerstone alongside Heyward in Pittsburgh's defensive schemes. The implications of this statement are enormous, not only for the team's internal dynamics, but for the broader NFL landscape, as Heyward's presence on the field has always been synonymous with leadership, intensity, and unmatched tactical awareness. The news is being treated like a seismic event because Heyward is widely regarded as a locker room anchor, someone whose opinions carry weight far beyond his on-field performance, meaning this is not a simple roster adjustment. It signals a potential fracture, a clash of philosophies, or perhaps a calculated move that could alter the Steelers' defensive identity in ways nobody is fully prepared to grasp. The timing of this declaration is equally startling, emerging just as the preseason strategies are being solidified and positional hierarchies are still being established in the Steelers' lineup, raising questions about how this decision will ripple through team morale, play calling, and defensive chemistry. Analysts are scrambling to interpret whether this is a personal dispute, a strategic maneuver, or a precursor to broader roster moves that could shake up Pittsburgh's defensive ambitions. Heyward's choice to publicly voice this separation from Queen, rather than handling it behind closed doors, adds layers of intrigue and drama, effectively turning the NFL rumor mill into a frenzy of speculation, social media debates, and heated sports talk shows, where every word, gesture, or historical pattern of interaction between the two players is dissected for hidden meaning. Meanwhile, Steelers fans are divided between those who trust Heyward's judgment implicitly, given his veteran status, and those who worry that sidelining Queen in this manner might destabilize a defense that relies heavily on synergy, communication, and trust among its linemen and linebackers, creating a tension that could define the team's season before it even begins. The intensity of the moment is amplified when considering the trajectory of Patrick Queen, a player whose career has been on a rapid ascent, whose speed, instincts, and versatility have made him one of the most promising linebackers in the league. Queen's partnership with Heyward was expected to be the backbone of the Steelers' defensive resurgence, blending veteran wisdom with youthful explosiveness, yet Heyward's announcement challenges that narrative, casting doubt on the feasibility of such synergy. Sources close to the situation suggest that the conflict may not be personal in nature, but rooted in differing defensive philosophies, approaches to on-field communication, and interpretations of leadership roles. Heyward, known for his rigorous discipline and meticulous preparation, may see Queen's style as incompatible with the standards he believes are necessary for the defense to operate at an elite level, highlighting a tension that extends beyond mere talent evaluation. Social media platforms exploded almost immediately following the announcement, with hashtags trending, fan reactions ranging from outrage to supportive speculation, and sports journalists dissecting every known interaction between the two players for signs of tension. The Steelers organization has yet to issue a formal response, leaving room for the rumor mill to run unchecked, creating an atmosphere where every practice report, every training session, and every sideline interaction is scrutinized for confirmation of a brewing storm. This development raises complex questions about leadership succession, defensive hierarchy, and how the locker room culture may evolve in the absence of a traditional veteran-youngster tandem. Even commentators who typically approach such rumors with caution are openly speculating about the potential trade implications, the possibility of benching Queen, or even restructuring defensive schemes to accommodate Heyward's preferences, which could include shifting him to a more isolated role or reassigning linebacking responsibilities to other emerging talents. Analysts emphasize that the ripple effects of this declaration extend beyond Pittsburgh, as rival teams may see opportunities to exploit perceived discord. While the media narrative positions Heyward as both a disruptor and a gatekeeper, someone whose influence could shape not only his team, but the perception of positional dynamics league-wide. Meanwhile, fan forums and discussion boards have become arenas of intense debate, with opinions polarized between those defending Heyward's authority and experience, and those championing Queen's potential and arguing that the Steelers may be jeopardizing their defensive future by allowing a single personality clash to dominate strategic planning. At the heart of this swirling speculation lies the undeniable fact that both players represent a unique combination of talent, leadership, and ambition, and their public separation injects drama, uncertainty, and anticipation into an already high-stakes environment, making the 2025 NFL season potentially defined by this explosive interpersonal storyline. Heyward's announcement has sparked a wave of analysis regarding how the Steelers' defensive coordinators might respond, particularly in relation to game planning and on-field positioning. Defensive formations, blitz strategies, and coverage schemes could all be recalibrated to reflect Heyward's decision, potentially creating new roles or responsibilities for other players who now must fill the vacuum left by a disruptive partnership. Coaches are reportedly evaluating multiple contingency plans, balancing the desire to maintain Heyward's engagement and motivation with the necessity of ensuring that Queen's development is not stifled, a delicate act of personnel management that could shape the team's identity for years. The scenario has prompted comparisons to historical defensive duos whose relationships defined eras of NFL dominance, and analysts are drawing parallels between the Heyward-Queen situation and previous instances where veteran authority clashed with emergent talent, producing outcomes that range from championship glory to locker room strife. Veteran players have been rumored to be weighing in behind closed doors, mediating the tensions and advising on the optimal path forward, while younger teammates reportedly navigate a landscape of uncertainty, unsure how allegiance, mentorship, and individual performance intersect in a suddenly charged environment. The statement also reignites debates over the evolving roles of veteran leadership in professional sports, where authority, reputation, and on-field influence can intersect with emerging talent in complex and unpredictable ways. Heyward has consistently been regarded as a player whose voice carries extraordinary weight, whose insights into offensive tendencies and defensive alignment are valued not only within Pittsburgh, but across league circles, positioning him as both a tactical asset and an influential figure whose opinions shape locker room culture. The apparent separation from Queen, therefore, is not simply a matter of playing time or scheme. It is a manifestation of the larger tension between experience-driven authority and the ambition of younger, rapidly rising stars seeking to define their own legacies. Rumors suggest that discussions behind the scenes may involve broader contract considerations, leadership incentives, or adjustments to team hierarchy, adding financial and strategic dimensions to what initially appeared to be a straightforward statement about defensive alignment. Social media conversations are alive with breakdowns of historical plays, fan-made montages of Heyward and Queen's interactions, and speculative timelines predicting whether reconciliation, trade, or positional reassignment is imminent, creating a sense of immersive drama that extends far beyond the traditional reporting of sports news. Analysts note that such public declarations carry psychological weight, influencing team morale, fan sentiment, and even the strategies employed by opposing offenses, who may now interpret the Steelers' defense through the prism of internal discord, seeking opportunities to exploit perceived gaps or misalignments. Coaches are under pressure to balance transparency, team cohesion, and competitive advantage, navigating a complex web of interpersonal dynamics, tactical requirements, and media scrutiny, where every decision is amplified and every move is second-guessed. Meanwhile, players at all levels are reportedly observing closely, understanding that such high-profile dynamics can serve as both cautionary tales and templates for managing influence, conflict, and personal branding within the intensely competitive environment of professional football. The NFL ecosystem, therefore, is collectively attuned to this narrative, recognizing that Heyward's announcement is more than a localized team matter. It is a storyline with implications for talent management, leadership paradigms, and organizational strategy across the league, positioning the Steelers' locker room drama as a microcosm of larger professional sports realities. As fans dissect each statement, practice report, and interaction for hidden meaning, the rumor takes on a life of its own, becoming a cultural phenomenon that bridges statistical analysis, human psychology, and narrative intrigue, illustrating the powerful intersection of athletic performance and public perception in the modern sports era. The ripple effects of Cam Heyward's declaration are now being felt far beyond Pittsburgh, as analysts and rival teams alike attempt to anticipate the strategic consequences of this sudden defensive split. The NFL thrives on predictability and preparation, yet Heyward's decision has introduced a variable so disruptive that playbooks, film study, and opponent scouting reports may need to be reconsidered. Rival coaches are reportedly reevaluating their offensive strategies, searching for ways to exploit the apparent disconnect between Heyward and Queen, or to pressure a defense whose cohesion now appears uncertain. Within Pittsburgh, the locker room atmosphere is under intense scrutiny, with teammates caught between loyalty to a respected veteran and support for a rising star whose talent cannot be ignored. Rumors suggest that informal alliances are forming within the team as players navigate a landscape fraught with tension, loyalty, and personal ambition. Some reports indicate that practice sessions have taken on a charged intensity, where every snap is treated as a test of resolve, authority, and alignment, while other sources hint at behind-the-scenes mediation efforts by coaching staff, veteran mentors, and front office personnel attempting to preserve unity without undermining Heyward's influence. Media coverage has intensified, with pundits dissecting past interactions, scrutinizing body language during games, and projecting outcomes ranging from reconciliation to full-scale roster shifts, amplifying the drama into a spectacle that merges sport, psychology, and entertainment. Social media amplifies every gesture, phrase, and public comment, making the narrative impossible to contain, while fans debate endlessly whether Heyward's assertion will strengthen the defense through clarity of leadership or fracture it under the weight of ego and perception. Analysts emphasize that this is not merely a story about two players. It is a narrative about power, influence, and a delicate balance of authority in a team-dependent sport, where a single declaration can alter trajectories, fan sentiment, and league-wide dynamics. Speculation about potential trade scenarios involving Patrick Queen has reached a fever pitch, with insiders suggesting that teams across the league are closely monitoring the Steelers' internal dynamics. Should the split between Heyward and Queen escalate, franchise executives may view this as an opportunity to acquire a top-tier linebacker whose skill set, athleticism, and adaptability could instantly transform defensive schemes elsewhere. The mere possibility of a trade has sent waves through fan communities, fantasy football forums, and media channels, prompting detailed mock scenarios, strategic projections, and debates about how each team could leverage Queen's abilities. Analysts emphasize that Heyward's influence may be a key determinant in whether Queen remains in Pittsburgh or is repositioned elsewhere, suggesting that veteran authority can indirectly affect roster composition, salary negotiations, and long-term team development plans. Within the Steelers organization, coaching staff reportedly face the delicate task of maintaining performance standards while mediating a situation with enormous potential consequences, balancing Heyward's public stance against Queen's talent and contractual considerations. Off-the-field dynamics are equally intricate, with mentorship structures, veteran guidance, and locker room culture all potentially impacted by the growing narrative, creating an ecosystem in which every action is scrutinized for implications regarding leadership, loyalty, and strategic alignment. Media narratives continue to escalate, with commentators producing in-depth analyses, visual breakdowns of past performances, and speculative assessments of psychological profiles, transforming what may have been a standard personnel issue into a league-wide spectacle. The tension underscores the complexity of modern professional football, where individual statements resonate beyond the gridiron, influencing fan sentiment, league narratives, and tactical planning across multiple franchises, highlighting the interconnectedness of personality, strategy, and performance in shaping the course of a season. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Amid the growing frenzy, questions about team morale have emerged as players and staff navigate the potential fallout of Heyward's announcement. Locker room harmony, a critical element for any high-performing team, now faces unprecedented scrutiny, with informal reports indicating heightened vigilance, subtle shifts in player interactions, and increased attention from coaching staff to prevent misalignment or division. Analysts stress that defensive cohesion is particularly vulnerable in such scenarios, as coordination, trust, and anticipation are essential for successful plays, making any perceived discord potentially catastrophic during high-stakes games. Veteran players are reportedly stepping into advisory roles, attempting to manage tension and facilitate dialogue, while younger athletes observe the unfolding dynamics with both curiosity and caution, understanding that reputational, relational, and performance factors intersect in unpredictable ways. Social media amplifies every nuance, with clips of practice sessions, sideline interactions, and press conference remarks dissected for signs of alignment or tension, creating a virtual microscope through which the narrative is magnified to almost mythic proportions. Fan engagement has surged, with discussion forums hosting debates about leadership legitimacy, potential trade outcomes, and hypothetical defensive strategies, reflecting the intense emotional investment in the Steelers' internal affairs. Even commentators who typically approach stories with caution are now openly speculating about long-term implications for Heyward, Queen, and the team's defensive philosophy, framing the situation as a defining moment in contemporary NFL leadership narratives. The unfolding drama demonstrates the extent to which personality, authority, and public communication intersect with athletic performance, transforming what might have been internal matter into a spectacle influencing media cycles, betting markets, and fan engagement, while signaling potential precedents for how similar disputes may be managed league-wide. Rumors have also begun to explore potential scenarios in which Heyward assumes a redefined leadership role, potentially reshaping defensive assignments, mentorship structures, and game day responsibilities. Sources hint that coaches may be experimenting with novel alignments, shifts in positional responsibilities, and dynamic rotations to accommodate Heyward's influence while preserving Queen's developmental trajectory, creating a tactical experiment of unprecedented complexity. Analysts highlight that such adjustments require precision, coordination, and buy-in from multiple stakeholders, emphasizing the delicate balance between veteran authority, emergent talent, and overarching team goals. Media speculation often dramatizes these adjustments, suggesting that even subtle practice drills, communication signals, and pre-snap formations could reflect deeper strategic maneuvers influenced by Heyward's preferences. Betting markets, fantasy football projections, and fan expectations are all sensitive to these perceived shifts, illustrating how the ripple effects of a single statement can propagate across diverse layers of the professional football ecosystem. Behind the scenes, player mentorship and locker room cohesion are under active management, with veteran guidance, psychological support, and peer influence all deployed to maintain alignment, trust, and morale amid public scrutiny. Social media analysis and fan-generated narratives continue to amplify every development, creating an environment where perception and performance are tightly intertwined, and where the story of Heyward and Queen transcends typical sports reporting, evolving into a multidimensional spectacle that blends athleticism, strategy, and human drama. At the heart of this narrative is a tension between continuity and change, experience and youth, authority and ambition, which collectively define not only the Steelers' internal dynamics, but also broader discussions about leadership, team management, and narrative power in professional sports. The drama surrounding Heyward and Queen also prompts larger questions about the evolving role of public statements in the NFL, where personal decisions, media visibility, and fan interpretation intersect to amplify consequences beyond the field of play. Heyward's choice to voice his stance publicly exemplifies a modern phenomenon in which athletes leverage their platforms to influence team culture, media narrative, and league perception, creating both strategic opportunities and challenges for organizations. Analysts argue that such declarations, while rare, are increasingly shaping roster decisions, coaching approaches, and player relations, underscoring the intersection of individual agency, team strategy, and media engagement in contemporary professional sports. Social media, 24-hour news cycles, and fantasy football culture further intensify this dynamic, as every statement can be dissected, amplified, and contextualized in ways that were previously impossible, creating a feedback loop in which perception becomes as consequential as performance. Within the Steelers' locker room, these dynamics require careful management, balancing transparency, cohesion, and competitive advantage, while ensuring that performance standards remain uncompromised and that emerging talent like Queen continues to develop despite the heightened spotlight. Fan forums and discussion boards thrive on speculation, constructing elaborate scenarios in which strategic, personal, and psychological dimensions intersect, blurring the lines between athletic performance and cultural storytelling. Betting markets, sponsorship considerations, and league-wide strategic analysis are all subtly influenced, demonstrating the pervasive impact of a single player statement across multiple dimensions of the professional football ecosystem. Coaches, veterans, and executives navigate an environment in which individual agency, media visibility, and team strategy are intertwined, illustrating the complexity of leadership, influence, and narrative management in modern sports. Ultimately, Heyward's public declaration is not merely a rumor. It is a catalyst that reshapes expectations, perceptions, and strategies both within Pittsburgh and across the NFL, creating a multifaceted storyline whose reverberations will be analyzed, debated, and felt throughout the 2025 season and beyond. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.